Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to New World Old Soul. Thank you so much for being here. Before we jump into today's episode, we want to ask that you consider liking, commenting, and especially subscribing. If you could help us out with that, we would greatly appreciate it. All that being said, let me fair warn everyone out there that this may be one of those episodes, depending on exactly who it is that's watching, that may actually result in a net loss for us in the subscriber category.
I like how you come on here and you're just ready to burn it down.
No, not at all. Not at all. We will be discussing the 2024 election results here in the United States. We are actively recording this on midday Wednesday, so it's been less than 24 hours since President Trump was reelected back to his former position as the president of our country, which
47th president of the United States.
How you feeling about that, Mama?
Okay, so going into yesterday, I was not feeling confident at all because I don't know. I just wasn't. I felt like they had thrown so much at this man with indictments and lawsuits and assassination attempts.
Smear campaigns.
They threw so much at him for so long. I thought there is no way that they're just going to go peacefully into the night. No way. Like, they're not going to let it happen. It's not going to happen. I literally said, you're going to be able to, like, I'm going to fall over if he gets elected. Like,
and what'd I tell you?
And you were like, nope, he's going to take the popular vote. He's going to win all the swing states. Jeremy was very confident. I went into the evening feeling very, very nervous. And literally, I needed them to call it. I was up till 3:30 in the morning waiting.
Really?
Yeah, because I kept turning it back on, trying not to wake you up. Did you notice I turned the TV
on?
No, I
passed out. I slept very peacefully.
So it's funny because we were watching a lot of the different things, and it was actually Daily Wire that called it first, which I thought was funny. And then Fox called it. And then he went up and gave his speech, and CNN, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, you name it, legacy media would not call it.
Could not bring themselves to do it.
They wouldn't call Pennsylvania. They would not call Wisconsin. Like, they just would not stinking call it.
They still haven't called a number of the key battleground states. I think there were 7 of them to begin with. I told you, what did I say was going to happen?
You said he was
going to
win all 7.
I don't want to pat myself on the back here.
But pat.
I was very confident that he was going to win. I know there are a lot of people out there. We don't want to come on here and gloat, but we're happy about it. We have conservative values here in our family. I think Trump is a very faulty human being. He has massive faults out there. So many of you have pointed that out to us. However, this is a political election. I'm not a political analyst, but so much of what it is that we support as a married couple, as individuals, as a family, it aligns with Trump and his policies.
An SA? How could you defend him as a father, as a mother, as a woman? He's going to take women's rights away.
He's a rapist. What do you mean? Yeah. He's a rapist.
Well, that's an essay. I was trying not to use the words.
So I was very confident. Internet. The reason I was so confident was because I've kind of had a little mini obsession with this over the past few weeks, especially, and I've been diving into watching a lot of leftist media, your CNNs, your MSNBCs, your ABCs, your CBS, your NBC News,
legacy,
your TYTs, So in following a lot of that and then fishing through the comments, it was very, very difficult to find any commentary, any comments that were supportive of the propaganda that was being spewed by these media entities. I found that to be extremely reassuring, and I thought that it spoke volumes about the voters here in our country. We were not falling for it. If you are a regular viewer of the podcast, you know that we are supportive of Trump in this case. And so that was really, really nice to see the media onslaught that has been occurring here in our country over the last 10 years. It's garbage. It is basura. It is so it's restored my faith in
critical thinking Americans.
In just critical thinking. Yeah, this is common sense. At least it was to me, and through my view, the Democrats ran an awful candidate.
No,
I'm saying it.
She ran a flawless campaign, according to MSNBC. Flawless.
Here's what I'm going to say. If here today on Wednesday, you are somebody who's very upset by this result and you thought that it was going to go another way, I would encourage you strongly to reassess what it is that you consume. The mainstream media, the legacy media, the corporate media is nothing more than a propaganda arm for the Democratic Party, for leftism. And it is rotten to its core. They do nothing but lie. They do nothing but sling accusations directed at this man when all of those accusations are essentially just admissions of what it is that they have done strategically on their side of things. Well, and it's disgusting to see.
Right. Well, the comments that we were getting were, how can you vote for a felon? How can you vote for an SA? How can you vote for somebody who's done this and this and this and this? And what these people that are asking us these questions aren't realizing is we weren't buying any of those accusations. We weren't buying the sham trials. We weren't buying the indictments. We weren't buying the convictions. We weren't taking the bait.
It's a kangaroo court.
It was political warfare. They were attacking their opponent using the judicial system. And most Americans saw through that. You cannot do that on either side. And now they're all going, Trump said that he's going to be prosecuting all of his opponents. First of all, no, he didn't.
Didn't say that, number one. Just like he didn't say he wanted Liz Cheney to be injured or harmed in any way.
That's not what he said. It's not what he meant. Stop it. Stop it. Stop twisting it. Is he an eloquent speaker? No.
Nope.
But to twist it so much when it's so obvious what he says in these situations, and they say, oh, he said this. Yes, he did. If you're only watching CNN or you're only watching MSNBC and you hear just what they want you to hear, you just hear their sound bites or their explanation of what he said, but you don't actually go to the source, to the interview, to the rally, to the newspaper article. If you don't actually go to it,
the original source of what actually occurred.
Yes.
Yes.
You just cannot believe what they're dishing out to you. You have to be a critical thinker. You have to do your research.
He's going to lock up his political adversaries, right. Melissa, even though he was already in office and went out of his way to explain, even though there was a very enthusiastic conservative base encouraging him to lock Hillary up, didn't happen. Why did it not happen? Because he thought that it would be bad for our country. And he's absolutely correct.
Yep. It's what they do in Mexico.
For the liberals to then in turn do exactly that to him, completely unwarranted, completely unjustifiably. The hypocrisy is off the charts.
Well, and last night I heard he's going to lock up his political opponents over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, guys, that's literally what you were doing to him. You can't just do something and then say the other person's doing it.
Yeah.
It's
plain as day.
Anybody that's got a brain that is watching this and literally going to the source and doing a little research and, not just trusting legacy media, saw right through it. And I think the results of last night proved that legacy media, as we know it, is dying. And I'm not saying that these are going to go anywhere, like CNN's not going anywhere.
I think it will eventually. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. There's absolutely zero trust there. And despite the end result, they're doubling down today.
Yes, they are.
Let me pull up a clip of Joe Scarborough this morning on Morning Joe on MSNBC.
Stepped in it.
Not only did in the days and weeks leading up to this election, not only did they hammer away at their political talking points of Trump and Trump supporters being fascist, racist, misogynists, drawing comparisons to Hitler with his MSG event, his rally there in New York City. Not only did they tell racial minorities that you are the oppressed, and as the oppressed, you are to vote in only one way. Now, with the end result not being to their liking, Joe Scarborough and folks like him are now lumping in these minority groups, saying that they are also racist and misogynists, apparently. So not only have they not learned their lesson, given the end result, they're doubling down. They're going even harder. And my big draw and takeaway from everything that's happened over the last 10 or so years, Trump has been elected due in large part to the leftist media, to the lefties out there. So congratulations, because it came back to bite you.
Yeah.
Everything it is you tried to do, trying to lock this man up, trying to kill him, trying to slap these disgusting, awful labels on him and his supporters, calling all of us trash, you get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. And I'm not trying to say that, I hate coming in here and gloating, but the satisfaction to come along with seeing these folks
for the media
eat it is just so delicious.
It was really fun to watch them start to get nervous last night. Like, that's when you knew that things were not going well.
They did this. You got him elected. Congratulations. Here's Joe Scarborough.
Democrats need to be mature and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics.
Racist.
They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
That's what it is.
Other Hispanics, you got some that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not simplistic. And we've got to have real honest conversations.
45% of Latino voters are racist.
Yeah.
Al Sharpton and Joe Scarborough, garbage human beings.
Yeah, they are.
Absolute evil.
Yeah, they are. They really are. And it's so funny that they're looking to blame. So yeah, it's all about, oh, Hispanics, we have to. But then as soon as the Hispanics didn't fall in line and obey and do exactly what they were groomed to do, then they're upset. They're like, oh, they're racist against black men. What are you talking about? Or against women or whatever. She didn't win because she wasn't a qualified candidate. And it didn't matter that she was a female. If you brought in a highly intelligent female, nobody's going to care. You might have a few people, but for the most part, they wouldn't. And the fact that women would be so excited about her would totally outnumber the very few men that would have a problem with it. You guys have heard us talk about the Daily Wire Plus for a while now, and we have been longtime subscribers. But after last night, let me tell you, there has never been a better time to subscribe. Right now, they are doing the biggest sale that we have ever offered, 47% off. And if you've been on the fence, now is the time.
Legacy media has been lying to us for years, and because of that, Americans have been seeking out actual truth and transparency. And for that, the Daily Wire has been leading the charge. For example, when one of the most brilliant minds in our time, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, was silenced, they brought him into the Daily Wire Plus and made him louder than ever.
Yeah, and Matt Walsh's film, What is a Woman, became a cultural phenomenon around the world. They exposed the global cartel that controlled advertising and intentionally suppressed conservative brands. Then they went to Congress and dismantled them.
Even more awesome, they launched an alternative economy with Jeremy's Razors, Jeremy's Chocolates, that's Jeremy Boring, not me, and more, so that you can stop giving away your money to companies that hate you and what it is that you stand for.
The fight against the propaganda machine is far from over, and that is why we subscribe to the Daily Wire Plus. We personally feel that it is so important to put our money where our values are. Plus, the platform is wildly entertaining with podcasts, documentaries, and even non-agenda-based children's programming.
So subscribe today and you can get 47% off. Click the link down in the description below or go to getdwplus.com/NWOS and use code TRUMP for 47% off in honor of Trump being elected as our 47th president. She had absolutely zero business being there. She, throughout this campaign,
you said she shouldn't manage a fast food restaurant.
I said she shouldn't. I said she shouldn't manage a fast food restaurant, let alone our country. She was so out of her league. She was nowhere near being qualified. She was plucked. She was tapped by the DNC in 2020. They wanted her to win until
she was originally plucked by Obama. That's who put her
in 2020. Tulsi Gabbard, during the primary debates on the Democratic side of things, absolutely eviscerated her. Destroyed her.
Her record's terrible.
Exposed her for being exactly what she is. And ironically enough, much in the same way that I said the liberal media got him elected, I think Kamala Harris managed to. It's like they were doing the work for him. It's like they were doing the bidding for him.
It was a horribly run campaign. Anyone that says it was good, it was so bad. The brat summer. Like, who are you trying to appeal to?
She
That's a TikTok trend.
herself. she refused to do the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan's been on an incredible run this past week and a half or so. He had Trump, he had JD Vance, he had Elon Musk.
He invited her.
He invited her, open invite. And this is somebody who has also been now deemed a far right
Joe Rogan
political participant. When Joe Rogan is for universal basic income, he has previously endorsed Bernie Sanders for president in 2016, 2020. I don't remember which time. I respect Joe Rogan tremendously. I disagree with him on a number of political hot button issues, but this is not a man who was far right by any means. But when you have somebody who is incapable of stringing together a rational sentence, that is not somebody that any of us, again, this is completely my opinion. Trash me for it if you want. She has no business being president of the United States.
I'm personally feeling very unburdened by what has been.
100%.
Yeah. I feel like this morning I woke up and I fell out of a coconut tree, and yesterday is tomorrow's today.
They all say that Trump supporters are misogynists, and Van Jones on CNN last night, I saw him holding back tears while explaining that, there are a lot of, hey, I don't know what to say. I thought we were going to have, the Americans aren't ready for a female president. They're not ready for a black president. Are we forgetting Obama?
8 years of Obama
was twice elected, and would there be
highly embraced?
Would there be the same level of enthusiasm if Tulsi Gabbard won as a conservative? If
minority female,
would they be happy? Because I guarantee you, they would not.
Nope. They want their person. The problem is they selected somebody who nobody voted for.
Yep.
She was handpicked back in 2020, or I guess a year before that. She was handpicked by Obama to be the VP running mate. He did not come out
with Biden, you're saying?
Yes, with Biden. So it's like she was just sort of plucked out of nowhere. Her record was terrible. I mean, I go on and on about her record in California. Terrible.
Despicable.
She did horrible things and was always on the wrong side of the issues.
Until she recanted and went back on everything that it is that she said previously. Yeah. I'm a pew owner myself. I'm not anti-fracking, and these things are so easily refutable. Yeah. And the legacy media, again, in an attempt to hijack the American voters' common sense and rational brain, would recite these things like we don't have access to the internet and everything it is that she stated previously.
Well, and they made the whole issue with her whole issue, her mountain that she died on was abortion. Like, it was all about that. It was all about women's rights to their body. Women are going to die. Trump is not a pro-life president. I wish he were. In fact, it is the biggest flaw that I find with him is that he doesn't protect the unborn.
Samesies.
His wife, Melania Trump, has like the #1 selling book in America right now. And it goes on and on and on about a woman's right to choose and how pro-choice she is. So all these people that are so afraid that they're going to lose all their rights, like, you've been lied to. That's not going to happen. I actually feel sorry for them because I've been watching these women melt down, and it is kind of like you want to laugh when you watch these people screaming at their cameras and having panic attacks and meltdowns.
Yeah, it's terrifying though.
But like, one girl's screaming like, "Oh, my parents voted against me. I'm going to die. And like, I have no rights and they're going to force me to get married." I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
This is what she's been told.
But it's what she was in a dorm room. So they're like, well, it's educated women. It's not educated women that voted for Kamala Harris. It's women in college or with college degrees that voted for Harris overwhelmingly. Having a college degree doesn't mean that you have wisdom. It doesn't mean that you're more smart. You're not
more smart, more intelligent.
Yeah. That's not what that means. It means you've been indoctrinated.
It means you've been brainwashed for a longer period of time.
You are not smarter for going to university. You did not gain wisdom in university. You gain wisdom through life. If you are 19, 20, 21 years old, you lack life's wisdom. You have been indoctrinated. If you go to a liberal university and you take women's study classes, if you truly believe that this administration is going to force you into marriage, that you have to wear the funny little hat, and that you are going to be used as a breeding machine, and they are going to take your babies, you need to turn off Handmaid's Tale. That is fictional. And you need to grow up. Look around. He was already president for 4 years. You really honestly think that they're going to take women are not going to lose any rights that men don't have. Like, men and women have the same rights. We live in the freest country in the world. We have the least restrictive abortion laws in the world here. Like, you can go through Europe and you can't get an abortion after the 12th week or sometimes the 15th week. But every abortion bill that was on the ballot last night passed, except for in Florida, and only because Florida's needed to pass by 60%, which I don't really know why they needed a 60% pass.
Just there, yeah. It's how things are set up in that state.
It got 58%. So most people actually did want it. And it was abortion through the 9 month, like for no reason at all, any reason. It passed in Arizona, like
crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, so if you are freaking out and you think that you're going to lose your rights as a woman, you're not.
Calm it down.
Yeah, calm it down.
Take a breath.
Turn off the media. They're scaring you. They lied to you.
Basura off.
Yeah.
It is brain rot, literal brain rot. And look at the derangement that we are seeing. Half the country still voted for her. I mean, he's winning the popular vote by 5 million. We're a country of multiple hundreds of millions of people. It's still, despite the outcome, it still terrifies me that there are so many people who are willfully ignorant when it comes to buying into these false narratives that are flung out there. It's absolute trash. And like I pointed out, it is so easily refutable. I told you this morning, I think this is a massive turning point in our culture, in our society. We're not there yet, but I think the fact that so many people are now turning to things like podcasts to source their information rather than the propaganda that you find in all of these cable news networks, these network news media outlets is so interesting to me.
Right.
Where do you think we go from here? Because we already had Hillary Clinton come out a few weeks ago saying that they need to up the restrictions and regulations on social media because of what it is that they deemed as being misinformation, which I find so hilarious.
Disinformation.
Yeah.
Well, The View was just saying the problem is that we can't regulate social media. They are literally blaming podcasts like Joe Rogan, like Theo Vaughn, like, anyone that had Trump on, anyone that had JD Vance on, they're blaming them because they got far more views and they were far more influential. 3-hour conversations.
3-hour-long conversations that were raw, unrehearsed, off
no
the cuff,
teleprompters,
as opposed to the opposition who was doing these little snippets, all of which
and
were very
changing the answers,
staged and choreographed. You had you've had it throughout the campaign. You've had Kamala knocking on doors. Oh, hey, can we get a door knock? Hey, I'm on the phone with somebody who just voted for me. Look, everyone. Oh my God, look at this person that I'm talking to on the phone, even though I'm currently on my camera on the iPhone. I'm not actually talking to anyone. They are lying to your face, and the American people see through it.
She lied about stupid things that weren't necessary to lie about. So like the door knocking videos where it was all prearranged. Why even do that? Why? It's so cheesy. Like it's like you watch too much TV.
And because they've gotten away with it in the past. That's why.
Well, remember when they won in 2020? She's jogging and then she gets a random phone call on her cell phone. We did it, Joe. Joe, we did it.
It's just like the conversation that she had with the Obamas.
Why are you running with cameramen?
We're going to have fun with this as if, oh my God, this organic situation where she just happened to coincidentally receive this phone call from the Obamas. We're going to have fun with this, aren't we?
Yeah.
The entire thing
staged.
is theater.
Yeah.
It is absolute theater,
like
but they want to jump all over Trump for speaking his mind in a very organic way.
Yeah.
Like you said, is it perfect? Far from it.
Yeah.
Far from
That's
it.
why he misspeaks all the time, like we do on the podcast. Because when you're just talking, you say stupid things.
Yep. Is it authentic?
Yes.
100%. Does that resonate with people?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because it's the way that people think. It's the way that we communicate as human beings. Everything doesn't need to be formal and polished because that's not how you speak to people when you're just having them for dinner or you're at a coffee shop. So those podcasts are very powerful, and those really scared them, and they're realizing, oh no, this is a problem. These independent journalists on YouTube and these podcasts all over the place that are really popular, and these influential people are a massive problem for us because they expose us. Because if we don't go on them, then we don't get that airtime, and then they're willing to go on them. But if we go on them, then we get exposed for our bullshit. So it becomes a major problem for them and they want it shut down.
It undermines their control.
Right.
And that's what they don't like. Hillary Clinton said it herself. She actually used the word control.
Yeah, we're losing control.
And they themselves, the spewers of disinformation and misinformation, astoundingly want to slap that very label upon those who are speaking the truth.
Just having free conversations.
Because it undermines their control and their very, very intentional attempts at manipulation of the masses.
Right. You can't say anything that opposes what the government or the media is saying.
And now because of that, I think they go balls to the wall with trying to restrict conversations like the one we were having here.
Right.
Again, already, we've mentioned this numerous times here on the podcast, the censorship, the suppression that we've experienced at a very, very small level. To go back to the conversation that Joe Rogan just had with Trump in the days leading up to the election, the biggest, one of the most highly anticipated conversations in the history of the internet on YouTube, it was
with
almost
the host of Fear Factor and the host of The Apprentice.
Was almost immediately suppressed by the platform that we are operating on here. So many of you are probably watching us on now.
I couldn't find it, but so it's funny because they made it so I think it was maybe an Android issue. So it was half the people could find it and half the people couldn't. If I typed in Joe Rogan, Donald Trump the day after, it did not pop up. I could scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. I could find a bunch of people talking about it, but the interview would not pop up for me.
Despite that, it got, I think, 40-something million views in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So despite that suppression, it still did massive.
Well, that's the argument. People are saying, oh my gosh, shut up. It got 45 million views. It was not suppressed.
And they do the same thing to us here. You guys have 50,000 views on this episode. You're not being suppressed.
You're not being suppressed.
Well, it probably would have. Or how about that one time I posted...
You can see it in the charts.
I posted an example of a recent episode where you guys, what it is that you see on YouTube, you might see, this episode has 20,000 views. At one point in time, I think we had 75,000 views on an episode, but publicly it had 14,000. YouTube did not want the potential viewer to know that, hey, this episode is being viewed by a lot of people. Because whether you realize it or not, that would subconsciously put an inclination into your mind, hey, this is interesting. Other people find this interesting. Let me click on it to see what the big deal is. The same thing happened with Joe Rogan. Despite the fact that it still was performing very well, did not end up on the homepage for YouTube. It was not placed in the trending category on YouTube. Because of that,
right?
Rogan,
the fact that it wasn't trending, but it was the biggest thing in the media and on the internet at the time, but it wasn't trending, but something like how to make bouncy balls would be.
This episode will be suppressed. Joe Rogan, as a result, posted the exact same podcast episode to Twitter, which is, we've discussed this as well ad nauseum. It's much more of an open forum.
70 million
got
views?
70 million views in a few days, despite the fact that it had already been viewed by 40-something million people on YouTube. Yeah. If that gives you an idea about the kind of suppression it is that we experience here as YouTubers on this platform when we have these types of conversations.
Well, and I think it's going to ramp up over the next 4 years too, because they want to make sure that this never happens again. They didn't see this happening. They didn't see Trump winning the popular vote.
I don't know that that's the case, but I think they're for sure going to do everything in their power, as they already have, to try to minimize the impact of such conversations or such content, period.
I think podcasts really, really played a massive role.
Huge.
And just YouTube in general really played a massive role, way bigger than the media. The media thought we can control this election and we can control this narrative. And they're wrong, because people are now seeking out information through podcasts, through conversation. Because when you want to know a candidate, you don't want to hear what the media has to say about them. You don't want to hear them read a teleprompter. You want to hear them in an unedited 3-hour podcast with Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn.
Authenticity.
Yes.
We want authenticity.
And people like Charlie Kirk, for example, who he worked so hard all year long going and debating, or not even debating sometimes, just educating or letting people know on college campuses, hey, tell me what you think. And then I'm going to tell you, what I think. And this is why you're wrong, essentially. But going back and forth, people like him, people like Theo Vaughn, people that you just would never expect are who won this election and the legacy media is who lost this election.
They're dying. Let me put it to you this way. Just talking statistics and numbers. A given episode of the Joe Rogan podcast will outperform MSNBC, CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, everybody collectively. If you were to add all of those network views up together, they will pale in comparison to a single episode, a given random episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, to give you an idea of the impact that these types of conversations have.
But they'll say, oh, he's just a podcaster. Who would listen to him? That's so stupid. He's just having conversations.
Right.
And they're like, well, this isn't professional. You can't rely on this. This isn't real news. This is fake news. No.
It's misinformation.
Rehearsed,
it's disinformation.
Edited, pre-planned, curtailed news is fake news. Conversations are real.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people are seeing through that. I think we've all just had it with the fake crap. Like as AI rears its ugly head and everything, the human spirit, it wants real. We want real. We want live music. We want live theater. We want real conversations. We want to watch that. We're so sick of being fed crap. And granted that none of this is going away. It's only going to get worse.
I'm just disgusted by your hatred
for
everyone right now.
Yeah.
So what did you make of that? Because again, the days leading up to this, they spun everything it is that you had the comedian Tony Hinchcliffe that was at the rally there in MSG.
I thought he was gonna, yeah.
You had the remarks of trash that were made by JD Vance. He applied that to Kamala Harris. That this was following.
Why didn't they all start wearing trash bags?
Well, this is following the statements that were directed at Trump supporters, referring to all of us as being trash. It's so funny to see the way that they twist and contort. And they curate what it is that they want you to consume, which is why it is that they're so threatened by these raw, authentic conversations. It's all just choreographed garbage.
Yeah, they do something and then they say that the other side's doing it. It's like
amazing.
Their MO.
Yeah.
It's completely what they've done the whole time.
Like I said, they sling accusations, and ironically enough, it's more so just an admission of the very tactics and strategies that they use themselves.
Well, they're not understanding. Like, so they think that by being pro open border, anyone come in, all this stuff, that's going to win over the Hispanic vote. The problem is, I know a lot of people that are from Colombia or from Cuba or from Mexico that came over here legally to build businesses and live the American dream and work hard. And when they see people, dangerous people, felons, gang members, young men, bringing 9 and 10 young children that they aren't related to across the border, when they see this, they recognize it because it's what they fled. They don't want that coming across the border. It's why they left those countries.
None of those things are happening though, Melissa. What are you talking about?
Sure,
the
they
economy
aren't.
is doing great.
No apartment complexes are being taken over by Venezuelan gangs. That's not happening. Like, what are you talking about? Stop saying stuff isn't happening when there's video and there's people that live in these communities saying this is happening. We are losing our communities. People are literally making videos. This is happening. This is my neighborhood.
Again, authentic.
And then, authentic.
Transparent.
It's on X of like an actual person. I live in this apartment complex and I don't pay rent to a landlord anymore. I pay rent to a Venezuelan gang member who has taken over and is now threatening me. Americans have grown tired and frustrated by the stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on our values. Thankfully, there's companies like Patriot Mobile that still believe in America and our Constitution.
We're proud to partner with Patriot Mobile because they're on the front lines fighting for the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our military and first responder heroes.
So take a stand and put America first by switching to Patriot Mobile today. You'll get the same nationwide coverage as the big providers because Patriot Mobile operates across all 3 major networks. Plus, they back their service with a coverage guarantee.
Their 100% US-based customer service team will find the best plan for your needs. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade.
Just go to patriotmobile.com/NWOS or call 972-PATRIOT. Right now, get a free month when you use our offer code NWOS.
Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your same values or have the same coverage. They don't and they can't. Join us. Switch to America's only Christian conservative mobile provider, Patriot Mobile. Just go to patriotmobile.com/NWOS or call 972-PATRIOT for your free month of service today. One other thing, they don't get it. The media in our country does not get it. Another one of the crazy things that I saw last night while all of this was unfolding was Joy Reid hopping on talking about how people
Joyful joy.
It was everybody else. Inflation is not a thing. The economy is doing great. American people, inflation is not a thing. A t-shirt now actually costs less than it did just 18 months ago.
What about eggs?
The economy is doing great. The market is thriving, ironically, after following Trump's presumed
it's like the highest spike.
It's doing fantastically.
That's pretty normal before and after an election.
Not always. Sometimes it dips tremendously depending on the outcome. But in this case, I think it speaks volumes. It's unbelievable. What's the word I'm looking for? There's such a separation between the things that they are saying and the reality of what it is that we are all experiencing. It's gaslighting to the umpteenth degree. Like, no, you're crazy. This isn't actually occurring. The economy is doing great. What are you talking about?
What they wanted the issues to be were, very unfortunately for them, not the issues of the American people. So when they asked voters across both, everywhere, all voters, American citizens, do you think, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago economically?
No.
70% said no. And then an additional 18% said they were it was slightly worse.
But they attributed all of that to misinformation.
Yeah. When you have 70% of Americans saying we are worse off, the biggest issue for them personally, when they go to the little booth with the little folder, with the little pen, is going to be the economy. The economy is the number one issue. It's in shambles. Inflation is through the roof. And worse than that, prices are very, very high right now. And when they're saying things like, when Trump is saying, I'm going to make sure that tips aren't taxed. If you're a waitress or you work at a coffee stand.
But Kamala said that.
Yeah. I like it. She just steals his policies. And then says he has no policies. Well, not anymore. You just took them all. But, he's talking about corporate taxes, lowering corporate taxes and all this stuff. And people are like, oh gosh, the rich, the corporations. Do you realize that an LLC is a corporation? An LLC pays corporate taxes. So if you are a latte stand, let's say you're a family and your income is a latte stand, or you own a bakery that you work at 7 days a week, or you own a hair salon, or, these are small businesses. They are LLCs.
No, they're evil corporations.
Or S-Corps or C-Corps, depending on how.
You run a YouTube channel or two.
Yeah. Maybe you have a YouTube channel and you have an LLC. You are a corporation. So you're taking families and they're like, oh, corporate taxes should be really high. You will destroy small businesses.
And yet they have the balls to say that they're the party of the working class. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I found that incredibly interesting as well. I told you, this will be understated and underplayed in the media. You're not going to hear it because they don't want to acknowledge truth once again. But there is a massive political realignment that is happening. And what applied in the past, I think no longer applies moving forward. You had I think it was the LA Times, you had the Washington Post that refused to endorse Kamala. Don't know what the reasoning behind that is. I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall personally. Mm-hmm. You have these massive unions who are refusing to come out because of their constituency, their members refusing to be supportive of the Democratic Party moving forward because their policies and their decision making does nothing but hurt your standard American family, your run-of-the-mill American family. We are all hurt by the things that they are desiring to implement. It's such an insult. And like I said, it's gaslighting like crazy. I hate that freaking term, but I've never seen a situation where it applies more.
Well,
you're telling us everything is fine, and we're telling you that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And if it means that we need to make that very clear through our vote,
yeah,
this is the end result.
Grocery prices are down, and then we're looking at our receipts going, no, actually, because eggs used to be $1.25 a dozen for the cheap white, like Lucerne eggs, and now they're $3.75. So. And they're like, okay, grocery prices are up 22%. That's what they keep saying. My bill is twice what it used to be for the same food.
What do we spend on a weekly basis? I'll tell you flat out, our biggest bill in our lives, because we do try to live as simply as possible, our biggest regular bill by far
groceries
is our grocery bill.
Yeah.
And granted, we're a family of 6, and we're very blessed and fortunate to be able to live a good life. There are people out there who are having to make decisions about where it is that they can reallocate their money, even if it means eating less. purchasing less food for
groceries
themselves.
are a lot of people's biggest bill. I mean, when your grocery bill is higher than your mortgage or your rent payment, like we have a massive price. And then Kamala Harris is like, well, then I'm gonna go after the grocery stores. That's not going to help. Grocery stores have like a 2% profit margin. How do you want them to keep their lights on and pay their employees? The grocery stores are not the ones jacking the prices up. You're missing the mark again.
And energy, all this green crap and taxing the crap out of corporations. How is that going to help the typical American family? Who do you think those costs get passed along to? If you tax the crap out of corporations, that impacts us at the consumer level.
You want a windmill in your yard?
I am not an economist by any means, but I am somebody with common sense who can look at things very analytically and tell you that makes absolutely zero sense. Mm-hmm. So don't sit here and tell me that you're the party of the working class. You do nothing but gouge the working class at every possible opportunity.
What gouges the working class is inflation, home prices, grocery prices, just consumer prices. Prices being up, inflation being up, our dollar, which means your dollar, your paycheck is worth less, but yet prices are rising. The costs of houses are like way outside of anything like, you get married and you want to buy a home, you have to make so much money now. It is so difficult for somebody in their 20s to buy a house. Mm-hmm. That was just something you were able to do before.
You see the average age of a home buyer in our country now is 52 years of age.
Yep.
How is That's insane. Young family supposed to prosper in an economy, in a housing market where you have to work for decades to hopefully put yourself in a position to purchase a home? It's insanity.
Well, and it breaks down the nuclear family as well. Like
that's the goal.
It makes it even more difficult because now you do need mom and dad working. If you want to buy a home and live a comfortable if you want to like own an SUV and buy a home and put your kids in soccer or ballet, mom and dad need to be working unless dad's like got a really, really good job.
Yeah.
But if they just have an average job, mom and dad are working now, kids are going right into daycare. So now it's just like separate them, so the American dream used to be like a lot of women do still crave staying home with their children, but they've told women that's bad, that it's going to make you depressed. That makes you useless. If that's all you want to do.
That is the goal. So it's absolute evil. We've referenced it here on our podcast many, many times. Anyway, to go back to that political realignment that I referenced a second ago, what did you make? You have people on Trump's side, on Trump's team. You have RFK that joined them. The conservative Avengers is what everyone's now jokingly referring to them as.
Make America healthy again.
You have Tulsi Gabbard who felt abandoned by the Democratic Party. Lifelong Democrat. Her father served as a Democrat in my home state of Hawaii, Chihu.
Total political retaliation against her as well. She's on the domestic terrorist list.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. I'm trying really hard to not get fired up here. This political realignment. And conversely, on the Democratic Party side of things, you have all of a sudden Liz Cheney being paraded around at these Democratic rallies. The warmonger, the person who is absolute evil. She and her father were berated, rightfully so, by the Democratic Party throughout the 2000s, throughout the Bush era. People who are profiting by the billions of dollars, all hinging on the perpetuation of wars that are happening overseas, the death and destruction of American troops, of families in other countries. These are despicable human beings. Now, all of a sudden, they are being embraced by these very people. They're bringing them up on stage to vouch for them, to encourage people to vote for them. What do you make of all of that? To go along with all of the celebrities, the Hollywood celebrities that were also brought out.
I think it was just more missing the mark, more mismanagement of this campaign. I mean, whoever the campaign managers were should be fired and never. It's like they're working for Trump.
It looked like they were working for Trump.
Nobody gives two craps about Tay-Tay or Beyonce or J-Lo. Like, really? You brought up the ex-girlfriend of Puff Daddy, who's currently in prison for basically being the Epstein of the music industry. Yeah. She knew everything. She was his live-in girlfriend who attended all these parties, I'm sure participated. And you brought up her to get on stage and start the waterworks about how she cares about protecting women. Did you care about protecting and warning women from your boyfriend? Or for the many, many, many years to follow when there were so many victims? Shut your face.
So it's so
Like, well, you have no right or no platform to get up there and spew your protecting women fake cry actress speech. She's never been a good actress.
it just speaks to the level of incompetence. Again, I just don't understand it.
What
Why
are you thinking, Beyonce? Like,
why well, but Liz Cheney. Why would you drag such an awful
nobody
person?
likes her.
And what makes you think that the American people, and again, all these stories, oh, Trump is going to drag us into World War III. Are you sure? Because he was the only president to not have a new war starting on his watch. He did everything it is in his power to make sure that we could put an end to the wars that we were already involved in. This is crazy to me. The Democratic Party at one point stood for peace.
Where's the 60s? Where's the 60s liberals at? Let's go.
Yeah, a very open, more so libertarian. Now they're
free speech. Okay,
free
so
speech.
So the Democrats
Anti-war, free speech. What
in
happened?
the 60s and 70s were about free speech, small government, low government oversight,
Low intrusion.
stay out of our homes,
Anti-war.
Don't send money and troops all over. Like, where are they?
I don't
now
know.
they're watching legacy media and believing it. Like, come on, guys. Like, remember the spirit of freedom in you.
These
Like,
things all
let's
change.
find it again.
These things all change and evolve over time. But it's kind of like I told Nevaeh this morning. And again, it goes back to like a complete political realignment. It's like everything's flip-flopped. And you go back 10 years, you can find clips of Obama. You can find clips of the Clintons to go back 10, 20 years. So much of what it is they said, not being pro-LGBTQ, take your pick on a number of topics. All of them at the time would now be chalked up as being far alt-right, all these awful labels that they want to slap on all of us who have held on to just common sense and normal. They've gone so far to the left in plucking this far left candidate. And I'm so proud of the American people for saying no. It has been so incredibly reassuring.
Yeah, the popular vote was not on my bingo card. I did not see that.
I told you he outperformed what I thought he was going to do, but I told you. I said he's going to win all the swing states. I said he's going to win the popular vote, and that's how it panned out. I'm not a political analyst. This is just me making
like, when was the last time all that
based
happened?
on what I was seeing online.
George W. 20 years ago?
I think he was the last one. Yeah, I think he was the last one to win the popular vote, and it wasn't by the same margin, I believe. I think Trump has outperformed everyone's expectations, and it's
this is why they won, or this is why Trump won. This is why the Democrats lost. It is because the issues that they said were issues were not the true issues of the American people, and the true concerns of the American people. They were told these things aren't happening. We don't have a border problem. We have no border security problems. We have a healthy economy. Prices are actually down. Like, you're not listening to the people. And I think that's why they lost. And then the issues that they said were the main issues, abortion and green deals and energy and all this stuff, those weren't the things that were important to the American people, because it's not what affects you in your day-to-day life.
But Project 2025, Melissa.
Oh, gosh.
Come on.
So sick of that. Like, I literally had a friend ask me, like, are they going to make me get married?
What?
And I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And she's like, well, Project 2025 says that like single moms aren't going to be eligible for assistance. And it's like, you really think that the Republican Party, you really think that Donald Trump's administration is going to deny like assistance to single moms? You really think that they're going to force you into a marriage? Like, it's such scare tactic propaganda that was fed to women, and it scared the bejesus out of them. They were having panic attacks last night, thinking they were going to be forced to get married, that they would never be able to get an abortion if they get attacked, and they will be forced to carry the baby of their attacker to term no matter what, and all of this just ridiculous stuff. Or if there's a medical emergency during their pregnancy, there is no way that they can like get medical help for that or end their pregnancies. And like, it was just crazy. Like they literally are like, women are going to die and we're going to be forced into marriage and it's going to be The Handmaid's Tale. And they're showing all these women wearing the outfit. And it's like, oh, guys, relax. The only thing that's going to happen is your taxes are going to go down. Like, just chill out. Like the cost of eggs is probably coming down. So like we can all eat organic now. So just relax, take a deep breath. You got some tax cuts coming. It's going to be great. And you're not actually going to lose any freedoms. All that's going to happen with women's health care, if you want to call it, or abortion, is the states will vote on it. Last night proved that the states are actually going very extreme with abortion rights, unfortunately. So you really have nothing to worry about. And if you do happen to live in a conservative, let's say you live in Idaho and you just really want to get one of them abortions, you just have to go to Spokane, go to Washington, get whatever you need. You might have to take a little road trip. That doesn't mean you're going to die. It doesn't mean you need to go seek out a hanger in an alley. Like, this is just crazy scare tactics that really scared the crap out of women. And I do feel sorry for the women that are melting down because they were lied to.
Guys, the holidays are upon us and we're all thinking about getting that shopping done early. This year, we are actually gifting one of our favorite things, Cozy Earth sheets and the world's most comfortable bamboo pajama sets.
Yeah, we love gifting those. We love the best and something that they're actually going to use all year long. We have been using nothing but Cozy Earth sheets for the past 2 years, and they are seriously the world's softest, most luxurious, and environmentally friendly because they use incredibly soft viscose from highly sustainable bamboo.
Cozy Earth bedding is super soft, lightweight, and remarkably breathable, ensuring that you sleep at the perfect temperature, which is great if you're a hot sleeper like us. Also, the more you wash them, the softer they get. Our first set is over 2 years old and they still look and feel brand new.
Cozy Earth's goal is to help create a sanctuary within your home and a refuge from the world outside. Sliding into bed every night should be a treat, and with Cozy Earth sheets and pajamas, it actually is.
The durable weave on the Cozy Earth sheets fabric is amazing. It doesn't pill because literally, is there anything worse than pilled up sheets? Plus, they're so confident in their superior quality that they offer a 10-year warranty.
So invest in your own sleep and wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Just go to cozyearth.com/NWOS and use our exclusive 40% off code NWOS to give the gift of luxury this holiday season. That's cozyearth.com/NWOS for the massive savings of 40% off with code NWOS. So grab a set for yourself as well.
I'm so baffled by it. I'm baffled by the derangement. It's so easy to refute any of these outlandish claims that they are desperately flinging out there in hopes of again, just overriding your common sense. The man was already in office. He's not going to do it. I don't speak for him. I guess we'll see what happens, but I have zero trepidations about the next 4 years. I'm very happy about the outcome. And I don't know. I guess it was just, I found it incredibly reassuring. Where do you think because I will say my big fear is that given what we do, that there will be some blowback we will experience. And let me throw this out there again.
If you enjoy, very heated right now. This is a very sensitive week.
If you enjoy what it is that we do, please make sure that you subscribe, because I do think
because Jeremy's losing all our subscribers today.
Well, no, if you don't want to be here, and I've said this before too, that's perfectly fine. This isn't something that we don't. Our happiness doesn't hinge on how it is that we perform online, but it is important to us given that it's what we do. I think we are going to experience even more suppression, even more censorship. I think the regulations that are brought about by the platforms themselves, of course, not on X, on Twitter, because Elon is so pro, free speech. But I think YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, name it, even though the Zuck is coming around. I think we are going to experience a whole new level of censorship and suppression, which has me worried. But if it means that our country is trudging down the path of righteousness, in my view, so be it.
Yeah, I think you're right, because even though Republicans gain the Senate, the presidency, they've got the majority in the Supreme Court, it's looking like they might have the House, they still don't have really any way of combating the censorship on the platforms, because the platforms are what they are, and they do seem to go kind of hand in hand with the media. And they don't want all of this to keep happening, because the more that people critically think, the more that they become independent thinkers and learners and seek out the truth, which is available. Like, you have to shift through it online. There's a lot of stuff like from both sides, and you have to decide, and you have to do research, and you have to listen to both sides and then go, okay, well, this makes sense to me based on the, like, you have to use discernment. So
discernment,
but
it's so valuable. Let me help you out though. Stop watching TV.
Yeah.
Stop watching all the networks that I rattled off. Literally, all of them. Cut it out of your life. Not only will you be a happier person, there will be far less division in our country, and you will take a tremendous amount of pride in yourself and your ability to see through bullshit when it's presented to you. It's so important. And I don't want to be dismissive or insultive in any way, but I do think that the tens of millions of Americans who voted for the Democratic Party in this election, unfortunately, just take what they hear and trust that it is factual. And we've pointed this out as well, but it seems to be more because young people are far more conservative now than they used to be. And
I don't even know if it's that they're conservative. I think that young people are far more, because young people have always been the rebels of any society.
Sure.
That's why they were the hippies of the 60s and 70s that were like, no government, we're going to say what we want.
It's punk rock to be conservative.
Right.
It's cool. Like Nevaeh pointed out this morning, it is now cool to be conservative.
Yeah. And I don't know that it's because they fall in line with conservative values. I think what they fall in line with is anti-establishment. Like, fall in line would be like the wrong terminology.
Well, Matt Walsh pointed this out when we spoke to him, and I completely agree. Yeah.
They want to be anti-establishment. They want to be independent. They're learning who they are, and so they want this free thinking platform. And so X and stuff like that is very attractive to them. Podcasts are very attractive to them because it's just real.
But gone are the days of Walter Cronkite and being able to turn on CBS News.
He wasn't that reliable either.
And not get any opinion, though. It was just, hey, here are the facts. You decide. We don't get that anymore. Turn on again any of these garbage networks, and all you get is opinion now. Not only it's opinion and propaganda.
Well, you could
purely. That's it.
Last night by the meltdowns.
Yep, the tears.
How they really feel, and if they feel that strongly. I mean, they started calling him a Nazi and all this stuff. If you feel that strongly, then you actually have no business being a news anchor, because you can't be unbiased when you are that passionate one way or another. Like, there's no way you can be unbiased. Therefore, the news is not unbiased.
We get that too. You guys are showing your bias. So never do we claim that we are not going to be biased.
Everybody has a bias.
We are a social media outlet. We are just your normal, everyday American people trying to make life as best as we possibly can for ourselves and our families. We have our own opinions. We have our own thoughts. We have our own conclusions and findings that we come to. We're extremely biased. And again, if that doesn't jive with you, don't watch. That's fine.
But at the same time, tens of millions of people think exactly like us. So you might listen to us and go, wow, you guys are extreme. You guys are out there because maybe you live in this little bubble. Like, we've been told, like, oh, how's the air inside your rural bubble? Well, it's very
pretty
fresh.
Good right now.
And the mountain spring air is nice. Well, but you live in a bubble too. Like, when you live in a city and you only hang out with your liberal friends in your coffee shop, that is a bubble.
Yep.
Like, and you're not hearing the opposition. You're not hearing other people that live around the country. Tens of millions of people, as proven by last night's election, feel exactly the way that we feel. And if you don't start listening to us, you're going to start seeing it in the vote, which is what we saw last night. We saw the American people throughout the entire country, even in California, going, we have had enough. Stop telling us everything is okay. It is not. We have a massive drug problem. We have massive gang problems. We have massive homeless problems. We have a massive illegal invasion in our country.
It's a mess. Things are a mess.
Grocery prices are through the roof. Our paychecks are down. Our medical bills are up. Like, everything is a mess. We are on the verge of World War III. We're sending all of the money that should be going to storm victims or be kept here in America to help with things like childcare and stuff that is now needed because we need 2 incomes so that we can maybe buy a house when we're 52. But you're sending it to all these other countries. Like,
Stop telling us that everything's okay, because we're not idiots and we can see it. And it didn't matter if they were Democrats or Republicans. A bunch of people said, enough. No, you're lying to us. No. And they checked the other bubble.
You think we go back? You think this pendulum swings back?
I think the pendulum swings regardless. Yeah, I think it will keep swinging, but right now it's swinging one way. The Democratic Party needs to go back and go, what went wrong? And they need to start addressing what actually went wrong. You put an unqualified candidate in who couldn't do an interview to save her life. She just wasn't qualified. You picked a bad candidate. Stop saying it's about gender. Stop saying it's about race. It's about her qualifications, and it's about her really terrible record.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see him putting Newsom in next time and being like, why isn't it working?
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder.
You're trying to force it down our throats.
Yep.
You're not listening. You're not hearing us.
Yeah, stop picking people with bad records. And the media needs to recognize, they need to get out of their bubble.
They need to go away.
And they need to recognize that what they're doing by trying to gaslight the American public is no longer working.
Yep.
Everybody sees right through it. Well, most people see right through it. And it's like, you need to go back to the drawing board. You need to rebuild your party. You need to realize why you are no longer connecting with the American people, why they no longer believe you. Stop lying to them, because your lies are being exposed now. And you can think, the people from The View or Hillary Clinton might think, we can control that. We can keep lying and we can keep this narrative going if we can just shut down the conversation on social media. If we can shut that down, we can control social media. We can continue to lie and manipulate the American people. And that's their answer. That's their solution. They went on The View this morning and said, what we need to do is control social media. No, what you need to do is stop lying. Start listening to the American people, start actually acknowledging what is wrong with our country, and then go to work to try to find real solutions for everyday Americans in their everyday lives. Stop with the men and women's sports. By the way, that Olympian had testicles. A French medical record proved a micro-weenie and testicles and XY chromosomes. That's a man. That's a man. But yet we were lied to by the media. It's a woman, you bigots, with balls.
Yeah, keep coming with the name calling.
With XY chromosomes.
It's helping your cause.
Knock it off. So it is very rare that you will find a liberal family with daughters that play volleyball or are in gymnastics or swimming. This can be the most liberal families. And you add a boy to the competition and their daughter starts losing or gets hurt, gets her face shattered by a volleyball. Like, tell me that you're connecting with the American people when you're doing crap like that extreme.
Democrats, come back. Come back. Abandon this radical crap. Come back to the middle. Appeal to the American voter base with just some rational common sense. You took it too far.
Yep.
You've taken it way too far, and you can do better.
Yeah, took it way too far. I mean, again, I have zero issue with the LGBTQ community.
None.
Zero. You want to get married, you want to do whatever. But to think that you get to be naked in Seattle and riding buses and stuff, no. Straight people don't get to be naked, neither do you. To think that it is okay to parade a 9-year-old or a 12-year-old little boy in a dress on stage like a stripper, or to bring children to watch provocative drag queens. I mean, I'm talking provocative. I'm not talking about story hour. I mean, that's really odd and scary, honestly. It really is.
Evil.
But
flat out evil.
When you bring a child and there are naked breasts and they're bouncing them around and they're in a thong and the children are stuffing money, you have gone too far. That does not speak to the American people. Your average parent, 99% of parents, liberal or Republican, are not okay with that. You have gone too far. When you're talking about removing children from their homes so that you can sterilize them, you have gone too far.
Yep.
Like, most people are not on board with children having puberty blockers. Not if you understand what puberty blockers actually do to a child.
The reality.
A 9-year-old cannot consent to puberty blockers because they do not understand. When you give a little boy puberty blockers, which they are doing by the thousands, you not only sterilize them for life, they can never have children. So if they decide, actually, I am a boy and I want to get married to a wife and we want to have a family, Sorry, you've been sterilized when you were 9 years old. You also are now incapable of any pleasure.
Yeah.
They castrate you chemically as a child. You cannot have any kind of intimate relationship ever, not a real one, because you are incapable. It is what they give rapists in prison so that they don't have urges and they don't reoffend. They are doing that to children. You have gone too freaking far. I'm really struggling not to swear. I wanted to say that word. You've gone too far. And this is the result. The American people have said, enough.
Enough. Sums it up perfectly. Enough.
Enough.
That's enough. Come on back.
Yes.
Abandon crazy, come back to sensible, or don't keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you 2028 JD Vance. I'm putting it out there right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting prediction. Truly somebody who came from, well, he didn't even come from the middle class. He came from like.
No, he's trash. They got really upset at that Kamala remark that he made and went out of their way to very quickly fling it back and calling him white trash. Beautiful. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you in 2028.
What happened? How can you be white trash? What happened to white privilege?
I don't know.
That's weird.
These things are
didn't
so
apply
confusing.
to him, huh? When he had a drug addict mother and a grandma raising him.
Anyway, crazy. Not even 24 hours that we've had here.
I think that it's good for the American people,
It is.
honestly. Like
I
everyone's
agree.
like, this is just going to add to the divide. I don't
It's
think so.
not.
I think it's going to bring Americans back together. I'm really hopeful that people that have really bought into a lot of the liberal lies, and I don't mean liberal lies as in like you're a liberal, and that's not what I mean. I mean extreme leftist propaganda. Like if you've started to become desensitized to this, and like some of it's like, I don't know if I buy into that. I think it's time for the American people to realize that we're not that divided. We're not that different.
Nope.
Everyone wants healthy families, freedom,
Safety.
freedom of speech,
Prosperity.
Yes.
Radical concepts like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so things are looking up, from my point of view.
From our point of view, but I mean,
And if you're out there, I would just highly encourage you to do the work. Use discernment.
Yes.
Establish a level of baseline discernment. Know the BS when you hear it, and maybe reevaluate and reconsider why it is you think and feel the way that you do. Trust me, you will be better for it in the end. These aren't everything you just laid out. It seems so simple to me. The whole transgender thing, all that. That's one of many issues that just if you just apply some logic and common sense. I mean, these things really aren't that hard.
Right.
Safety, prosperity, getting back to our core
America
American values.
first.
America
I think it's
first.
very important.
Let's go. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. That's an hour plus rant. I think out of us. So
Yeah, it was a very, very interesting evening. I think it's going to be a good 4 years. I'm hoping that our country can heal. This election got so ugly.
oh, it's gonna be some nasty Thanksgiving
It's not
dinners.
about the memories you made. It's about the friends you lost along the way. It was just one of those election cycles. And I think it's time for the families to piece it back together. It doesn't matter who voted for who. We're all Americans. Like, let's find our common ground. Let's start putting our country back together. And I mean, can we just take it back a few notches?
Yeah.
Just take it back a few notches.
For sure. All right, let's wind it down. Everything's going to be okay. Everyone take a breath.
Your taxes are going to go down.
It's all going to be okay. I promise you. Not that I have any say in the matter, but I think it's going to be okay.
I think we're going to be okay.
All right. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do it or don't, because we probably upset a whole bunch of you out there with this podcast. Either way, do what you want to do. Yeah, love you, Mama.
I'm so hungry right now.
Okay, let's go eat.
I love you too.
All
Let's
right.
go eat.
Love and appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.